Thank you so much for joining the We Don't Play podcast show today, Stewart. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, especially because you're in Texas.
Yes, shout out to Texas. You know, what I love about Texas is, the good old Buc-ee's. You can't miss that.
That's true.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you for spending the time with us today, because a lot of people are in this whole, I'll call it an aura of content where everything is just happening to them, from TikTok to Google to YouTube. Everyone is just binging, but there's also a time that someone creates to create quality for themselves. And there's a lot of noise, to even begin with in the first place. So I'm so happy that you're here to help us reduce the noise, because it's going to be noisy, but at least make it into a level that we can turn it into something positive for us, long term.
Perfect. Yeah. And actually, it is a noisy space out there. And the biggest challenge I think we all face every day is, how do you cut through the noise?
Exactly. I think about it like music-wise, speaker-wise, frequency-wise, energy-wise. It's huge. And I think that's where a lot of people decide who they want to connect with by content, just because they like their voice, or they like their demeanor, or they just like how they talk. It's a completely different shift in today's world.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never heard it put that way, but you're absolutely right. It's true.
Yeah.
And where's your information coming from? I mean, all that stuff's really fascinating. And there's so many news feeds today, and information feeds. And as a business owner, how do you choose? I mean, how do you gravitate to the ones that really speak to you?
Exactly. Because everyone's trying to be in one place at the same time, but also be everywhere doing the same thing too. And it's like, where do you draw the line, or where do you decide to pause or pivot? And a lot of businesses don't even get past at least 3 years, because of structure. So I think this is going to be a very great way to help them demystify this whole process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody yesterday was telling me that the average, they asked me how long I've been in business. And I said, a long time. And they said, oh, well, the majority of businesses don't survive, like small business, don't survive more than 2 years, which is really hard for me to believe, especially because I've been pushing 20 years now. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like, how do you stay so focused to be successful,
Exactly. Let's even roll it back into time. How did it all start for you? Where did it all begin, and where did the spark start to get even louder for you?
Well, I think, at least for my business, like both my dad and my stepdad both had their own businesses. So growing up, that's all I knew, is that I assumed you were supposed to have your own business. And so I never even knew there was a different way. And now where I sit today, knowing that there are different ways, and I see friends who have worked for big companies who have done really well because they've stuck to it. I'm like, ooh, maybe, some days on a bad day when it's your own business, you think, oh, the grass is always greener. But then you talk to friends that are employed and you're like, oh, maybe the grass isn't greener. But yeah, so that's kind of how my own business thing started, even before I even knew what my business wanted to be. And it's always been, it's a responsibility thing. That your business, like, you are responsible for it. And if it's successful, it's because of you. If it's not successful, it's because of you also. And so the buck stops here, kind of,
That's true. Wow. That's a very inspirational story, because, when people think about entrepreneurship, it's either you learn it, or I would say you earn it, because you can decide to learn about it, but you may not be the best entrepreneur. But if you earned it by taking time to go through the nitty gritties and not skipping the line of, surpassing things that are fundamental, then it will help you. And especially for you, when you saw that happening growing up, what was the core principle that kept you going? Because entrepreneurship can be lonely, it can be hard, it can be strenuous.
Well, part of it is doing what you love, so that's the number one thing, so I'm started as a still photographer and filmmaker, and I love doing that. So right there, that made me dedicated to the craft and to the business, because that's all I knew, that's all I wanted to do. So I know there's some people that come out of school and, they take these entrepreneurship classes and they think they should be in their own business, and they just kind of jump from one kind of business to a different kind of business, like whatever is the popular business of that decade. And, I found something that I loved. It was like a craft that I loved. And so it made it really easy to stick to what you love, and the one thing that makes it easier is if you love what you're doing, it makes it not like work.
Ooh, you said something that really struck with me when it comes to even like creating that intention of loving what you do, because every day you wake up and people are motivated by how much they're going to get paid today or how much they're going to do today. But some other people, if you look at the way millionaires and billionaires and people who are running businesses, corporations, enterprises, the money is not their motivation. It's their time, because they always say, hey, I can always lose and make money, but the time I will never make that back. So they value that over the money. And some people wonder why, and yet we all have 24 hours. So how did that play a big role into your scaling and pivoting too?
Well, I think especially at the beginning, like paying your bills definitely is important. So, when people say, oh, the time or the money, it's easy to say that when people get to be super, super successful, and I can't say that's me. But what's that old saying that they say, make your vocation your vacation? And, I still wake up every morning and am excited to do what I'm doing, even if it's not really going to be one of the best days in terms of doing everything that you love to do. Like we love when we're doing production, and, but yet most of the time is pre-production, post-production, or looking for production, so it's the whole game. And I think as a small business owner, you need to understand your whole arc of business and how do you manage it on a day-to-day basis.
I'm even thinking about cyberspace now and the cyber noise, especially when building that credibility, because you could be an entrepreneur in real life, but on digital, you're not looking like anything that people can see, and there's no proof in the pudding because there's no evidence to show. So when you look at social media, the digital technology we're in now, circa 20 years back to now, when you see these things happen, when you look at the next 20 years, where do you think we're going, at least from your experience?
Dude, I have no idea, because if you say 20 years, 20 years ago, there was no social media, was there? I don't think there was.
No.
Oh yeah, I guess Facebook was around. I think Facebook started in 1999 or something, right? But it wasn't popular.
It wasn't popular. It wasn't a public access. Yeah, it wasn't. No, it was more like a domain or just a process.
So like Instagram was what, around 2012, maybe 2010?
Yeah, 2010 Instagram. Yeah, Facebook was around like 2007, 2009.
Yeah. So don't forget, we didn't have that. So we had to get the message out in different ways. And, they were still using direct mail, never mind email. People were still, and in person, granted, I miss that. And I still try to do as much in-person meetings as possible, because I think that interpersonal connection is something that's kind of important, and it's really hard for somebody to know who you are as a business owner and what your business can do if they're just looking at social media posts, you know. Yeah. And websites, you know, social media lies, websites lie. You know, you could say whatever you want on any of those platforms, but you know, how do you build credibility with your customer base? And I think that's the challenge today, is how do you get that opportunity to build credibility? You know, the way I look at it, like say with our clients, you know, it's always easier to keep clients than it is to find new ones. And so when you find new ones, you definitely take care of them and manage the relationships and make sure that you're doing everything you can do to make that client's journey with you really smooth, because you know, you need their trust. And I think, you know, a happy client is also your best salesperson, because they have friends and they talk and everyone talks. You know, it's really, you never hear about people talking, but if you do something wrong, it's amazing how fast it goes around, you know, it gets around. So yeah, I think your existing clients are your best salespeople. So yeah, we make an effort to take care of them all.
That's beautiful. And I believe that also comes with feedback. You know, I've heard this somewhere, I don't know where, but I paraphrase it to my own style and version, that feedback is the best currency for your business. Because if you don't get that feedback, you won't know how to serve. And then the serving is to the wrong audience. So you misalign with the message and it just becomes a whole mess. So it's really important to look at that.
And it's tough sometimes to get feedback, because I don't think when you're in the middle of a project, I don't necessarily think, especially new customers, I don't think they give you feedback unless you ask for it, you know? And sometimes you hear it after the fact, you hear feedback and you're like, was it really like that, you know? So yeah, no, that's a good lesson that I'm going to take from this conversation, is ask for feedback, you know? That's kind of key.
Yeah, I look at it from so many perspectives, like, you know, churches, first-time guests, board meetings, you could even call it events, halls, where people say, hey, who's the first one here? You know, if you've been here 10 times, but you're here the first time, you have a badge, and the badge is kind of like putting you out there like you're a first-time person. Everyone's wearing red and you're wearing green. So it's like that whole kind of thing going on. But it's a good culture and a good way to show that there's hospitality as well within, you know, the customer relationship build.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll remember that one.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. You know, now when it comes to cyber noise, how would you tell someone who's working in an office and they have access to their phone, they have access to all the internet service provider networks they can get, if they need to manage their time and substitute the noise with wisdom or with information that is not noisy, what can they do so that they also prioritize their time and also be effective both socially and also professionally?
Well, think about your time, you know. You want to be spending your time reading something relevant or looking at something relevant. And I think so if you're respectful of other people's attention span and you're not feeding them with, you know, useless information, people appreciate that. I mean, granted, a lot of people just sit there death scrolling all day, you know, but if they know you as only, you know, you're usually when you post something, it's relevant and it means something and it's of interest. I mean, that's how you build credibility, I think. You know, and there's so much stuff that you see that, you know, what makes you unfollow somebody, you know, like how many people are you following on Instagram?
I'm following.
Are you at the max?
No.
Are you at the max?
No, I'm not. Far from it.
That's good. I maxed out and I don't know why I maxed out. So now I have to go through and cull people and you look at people that are just like wow, you think they're interesting people, but if at least to me, granted, I know there are a lot of people that like, say they're pets or something. At a certain point, though, if I'm following a business associate and all they're posting is their pet, eating their organic food, you might, after a little while, you're like, okay, I know their deal is they love their pets and their organic food. That's great, but I don't need to follow them anymore. And that's probably a bad example because that sounds insensitive, but I don't mean it that way. It's just like, you try to follow, at least, I look at it in the business perspective, like you try to follow people that are going to, whether they're feeding you information about who they are and what they do, or about the industry, or about, worldviews, important stuff that you could take away and grow from the day.
Oh yeah, exactly. And when it comes to, like you said, showing up and that credibility, what you keep showing people is what they'll keep remembering about you. And like you said, if you keep showing them that food, they'll always remember, oh yeah, I remember. And it's kind of like psychological marketing in a way.
Yeah, but they do, people remember. I mean, and there's sometimes, I'll post stuff that the most random, like if you think back over the years how you posted stuff that was totally random, then you run into somebody and they remember the most random posts. Sometimes, sometimes they're remembering the ones that you want to resonate, but sometimes it's just like a random, So anyway, there's a lot of noise, but I do feel like, how they say you have to find your tribe. And it used to be, I think it used to be easier because there was less noise. And I think even as a business owner, you need to find your desired clientele. It used to be, well, any clientele is a good client, any client's a good client. But now it's gotten to be like, who do you want to work with? Like, because back to your whole comment about there are only so many hours in a day, like who do you want to spend those hours with? So you want to find people that are of like mind that you want to work with, who want to, like in my situation, who want to create good creative work. So and that's a challenge because it's every day, everyone's always striving to find the right business partners. And I think that's what makes being in business interesting because, the people we meet along the way.
And those are the people that will remember you, as you go down that journey, because you build relationships 10 years, like you said, 20 years. The relationship that you started a long time ago are still existing because of the foundation. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, it's a long road.
It is. And sometimes relationships are not built like that because some people don't even have those type of relationships. Like if you ask somebody who is your best friend or who is the person you know the longest in your life, how many years is that? You hear so many different numbers, whether professionally or even personally, and that also plays a role into how they affect the corporate social responsibility of their nature when they're connecting with people right. within a professional room or just a connecting room. So it's a really big informational desk, I can say, that they can put into their frame of mind.
Right. No, absolutely. And it is a long road. And the people that I met early on in my career, a lot of them we still work together, or some I'm just still friends with, and I'll still connect with, even just to say hello, because those are your people.
Yeah. Even speaking about cyber noise, I think this will also be helpful for anyone listening. What is the importance and the power of email marketing and communications when you're building a business year over year?
Well, okay, back to the whole be relevant. I think there's so much noise in email marketing that I think if you could keep your messaging to content that's relevant and of interest, you're that much ahead, there's so much email marketing that's just, I think, noise. And, and the hardest thing is, how do I know what you're going to think is relevant? Because what I want to, if I'm sending you an email like once a week or something, I want to make sure you're going to think it's worthy for you to open, because if I sent you 2 or 3 emails over a period of time and they're all useless to you, you're going to unsubscribe, which I don't blame you. Or it just becomes noise that you just go, it just goes into your trash. So you need to earn people's trust that what you're going to say is of interest,
Yeah, and that interest is I'll say the word interesting, because I look at it from a perspective of how will they know that they resonate with you until something you say resonates with them. It has to click.
Right.
At some point.
It has to click, and hopefully it does. And I think we as, say, email marketers have to continually put yourselves in the recipient's place to make sure it's like, I don't want to waste this person's time. I'm being given the gift of the 3 seconds they're going to take to open this, and it better be good, or else you lose their trust forever.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that also comes into thought leadership and mutual respect, because that also gives somebody a chance to give you their time, which is something that they value. And that exchange is also very highly, I would say, profitable for both.
Yeah, and especially in the workday, when you see, like sometimes when I have clients here that work for big companies, and they're at the studio, and we see, I see their calendar, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like you have meetings like every hour, every half an hour, every day, all week. When do you get any work done? And so you realize how valuable people's time is. And that's when you really realize it's like, okay, be very respectful of other people, of their time, and their attention.
Oh yeah, that is true. When you respect someone's time, it reciprocates because they pay you attention as well.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big believer of that. And that's the hardest thing. I always second guess myself, thinking, is this worthy of somebody's time?
Exactly. I feel like this episode was definitely worth somebody's time.
Well, I hope so.
I believe so. Thank you so much. If there's one thing you can let the listener know about how to navigate the cyber noise, if there's anything they're leaving with, what would that one lesson be?
Oh, well, you could definitely, one place I'm very respectful of people's times is on LinkedIn. So if you want to follow us, LinkedIn, Stewart Cohen on LinkedIn. Yeah, I really try to keep the messaging clean and succinct, and really trying to help the general well-being of the world, yeah, that's probably a good place.
Thank you so much, Stewart. I appreciate you for being with us here on the We Don't Play podcast show. Is there any other place that you'd want them to connect on?
Obviously, yeah, happy for you to go to our websites. It's for production services. It's Stewart Cohen Pictures, it's scpictures.com. Just S and then cpictures.com. Instagram is at scpictures. And then we also have a media licensing space where we license still photography as well as video for commercial use. And that website is superstock.com.
That's value to my ears. Thank you so much, Stewart. I have so many people in my head. I'm thinking like, hey, you should get this. So, yeah.
Well, hey, no, and I appreciate you for having me on. And I know I just met you this week. It was quick and it was great. and now we're friends forever.
Yes, we are. And the podcast also proves it. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Right.
Appreciate you, and definitely looking forward to bringing you back on the show again.
Thanks so much.
Anytime. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11 and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, We Don't Play podcast show is where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those 4, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website, www.playinc.online, playinc.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you.